Yeah, Zoom pull it right back up.
I can't see you all, but thank you all for joining on this wet day. We started a minute late, but that's okay. We're gonna go ahead and get right into it. We are planning for the next amnesty day. Hopefully we'll have that information to you soon. Our code enforcement is still going through their blitz, so that's been a great thing. Our rental assistance program that we had at Lake Spivey was a sad to say, but it was a great outing. We have a lot of folks that came out there, and we want to make sure that we begin to service these folks in a timely manner to help them get over their circumstances. What else do we have? We've applied for a federal grant to assist with our flooding mitigation through fire and EMS. So hopefully we'll get that will begin to help with a lot of the flooding that we're having, especially with this rain. Where else do we want to go into? We want to start our sector updates now. Let's go. Let's get it. Come on, Captain. Okay.
That works for me.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. As far as the Sector 4 portion of District 4, as you can see, last week was a really good week. We like seeing all that green. That means that the crime was basically less than the previous weeks. The thing that I have been seeing as far as the car break-ins of late is that most of them actually, there's not really any property being taken. The cars are being broken into, but nothing's being taken. So I don't like to say that's a good thing, but at least the messaging has, taken some effect, and folks are taking their valuables and things like that. It's not, necessarily significant losses involved in them, and a lot of them are still vehicles that are left unsecured, with nothing being taken out of them. The one area that I have been discussing all week that was kind of an unusual thing was the aggravated assaults as far as violent crime. I only had one gun related crime in the entire week, but I had 5 incidents where knives were involved, and I don't really know what's going on with that, other than there were mostly folks that knew each other. So it's kind of a crime of passion, and it's probably what was just available at the time. But the big thing is kind of some conflict resolution and things like that. It's not necessarily anything that we can necessarily prevent when it's people that know each other. Other than that, as far as the sector goes, like I said, the crimes for the week were actually some of the lowest that I've seen in recent times. And my shifts have been out, and they have been doing some pretty aggressive patrolling in some of the problem neighborhoods and problem areas as far as that. And so I'm hoping that the stats continue to show this way, because it has been slowly increasing for a good portion of the later part of this year, as all the COVID numbers and things have stopped. It seems like there's been a little bit more crime, and people have been out and about a little bit more, so there's more opportunity crimes that have been occurring. But that's really all I have from the Sector 4 side. Cat Maddox.
Not a whole lot to add to that. We still continue to see a lot of cars when they are broken into. People are still leaving guns in there. Most of the year we have been below 50% of our theft of guns were out of motor vehicles entering autos, but they're up above 55%. And as I preach this, and I know I'm beating a dead horse with this, last year 64% of our stolen guns came out of cars. And the chief at the last meeting mentioned about putting lock boxes in your cars. So you're going to have to leave your gun in your car. To please do that. Put a lock box in your trunk, where it can be permanently attached to the back of the trunk somewhere, and then it's locked in the trunk. That's the best place to do it. And if you're at your house, please bring it inside. I know some people don't like to bring their weapons inside because they may have children or something in there, but then again, you can use a lock box inside the house. And it's really important to do that to secure our weapons, because that has been our issue. And again, it's climbing where we started off the year real well. It's going back the other way, and we're losing a lot of guns that way. Other than that, the crime in my portion of the district, there's next to nothing. It's mostly parking and speeding issues. I would like to do a little quick comment. Kudos to the surrounding agencies We had an incident, I'm sure many of you saw with Walmart. We originally thought it was an active shooter. Our officers responded along with several other agencies. We immediately went inside, cleared the resident, the business out, and it was a joint effort. Sheriff's Department, Police Department, and a lot of other surrounding agencies came to support us on that. Saw in the video, you'll see probably people were talking about 50 police cars. Usually that's an exaggeration. That was probably an underestimate how many police cars were at that location. And the person who was involved in that is in custody that we're in. So, is there any? That's all we got.
All we got, all right. Thank you and good work. You have a question?
I have a question regarding kind of that.
Thought I was getting one.
Yeah, well, no, as we know that there's been a number of mass shootings, racially, motivated, some
Yes, sir.
some are. And I was curious.
Yeah, I'm on.
Clayton County, being that we're predominantly an African-American county, it's easy to estimate or to think that we could be targeted in Georgia, that, where a lot of the outside areas, out of metro areas, could be a lot of activity. So I'm wondering if we talked about it, or as law enforcement say, hey, we need to, ramp up any type of just how we can prevent it from happening, whether it's, social media or get in touch with FBI, or, how can we feel that we're safe, that, hey, in the event that we're targeted, or there's some measures to try to thwart any, potential attacks against our county, any public areas and things like that.
We work directly with the GDI and the FBI. They provide us with almost daily intelligence briefings and stuff on things like that. That information that gets passed out to the sectors, like to the sector captains, and we pass it on to patrolmen. As far as like the active shooter things that are going on, we've already had a lot of guys. It's called alert training. You've probably seen that in the news. That's a real common thing. That's our third quarter training. We've already done some. This second quarter, we do training throughout the year. And that's one of the things that we're practicing and doing it. And that situation with the Walmart was a perfect example. It went out as a active shooter with 3 people down, and that wasn't what happened. But when they responded to the scene, the officers immediately went in and cleared the area out. They didn't hesitate. There was no question about it. They knew what they were supposed to do. They've been trained to do it, and they followed through on their training.
Thank you.
Okay.
Question. Okay, we're gonna move on now. We're gonna refuse. So we're gonna be
Captain Gooding.
Captain Gooding to discuss refuge, what's going on in the county.
Morning, I'm Captain Gooding from Refuge Control. We currently work with code enforcement and inmate services to help make sure that we are keeping the county clean. We do various, we're responsible for various activities such as cleaning the roads, picking up dumpings, cutting the grass. In addition to that, we also clean the modern bus stops. We do indigent burials. One thing that I wanted to discuss this morning is that I'm trying to get the community involved in community cleanups. So if you, your community or your neighborhood is interested in establishing a community cleanup, Refuse Control will assist with that. We'll provide the bags, pickers, vests to ensure that, while we're out there cleaning the road, we're being safe. And then once we're finished cleaning that particular area, we'll send a truck to come and actually pick up this trash. So if anyone is interested, you can call Refuse Control 770-477-3548. If you want to report an area that you're concerned about, you can also call this number, or you can go to Click Clayton and put in your issue and your complaint. And once we receive that, we'll come out and we'll clean the area.
We'll give that number one more time.
Yes, sir. It's 770-477-3548, or you can go on Click Clayton if you want to report an area that you concerned about. Yes, sir.
I have another question. Question about that is, just as far as I know, we had the initiative of Beautify Clayton and kind of our beautification, what we're trying to do. Is that still active? Are there still some things, more things to come? Kind of, and maybe that's not directly related, but is there more things to come with that?
Speaking of Keith Clayton Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
Keith Clayton Beautiful, unfortunately, was disbanded probably sometime last year.
Oh, okay.
So we want to begin to use refuse as much as we can. I know I used them actually last week, bringing some debris to the curb, calling them to come out, check people and make a payment. And they come out usually within 48 hours to pick up the trash and remove it. So I think we got to begin to use it. We've got to begin to let folks be aware of these services that we have and make it happen. So
Any reason why it was disbanded, or just funding, or is this?
it was disbanded during COVID. So
Okay,
hopefully we'll begin to find some initiatives that we can put back in place or begin to generate to help us keep this area clean. I know I've gotten some calls as far as over Riverdale. You can get out there on Roundtree Road and begin to pick up some debris as well. So I hate to say it, there are not a lot of large bags being dumped. There are a lot of folks throwing things out of the windows. And we've got to begin to teach our young folk that this is not the way to do, because they're not the one throwing it out. It's the adults that are throwing it out. So that's what we are with that. But we're gonna work, definitely keep working hard to try to keep this area clean.
another question was, you were talking about MARTA, stations or pickups, whatever,
Yes.
stops, MARTA
Yes.
stops. One thing I'm noticing on Mount Zion Road is a lot of, because there's no benches or anywhere for people to sit, they're getting grocery carts and putting them there at the MARTA stop, so they have somewhere to sit. Is there any plan that maybe MARTA is gonna put some benches somewhere so people can sit down instead of makeshifted?
That's another one. I had a meeting with some representative from MARTA about 2 weeks ago to discuss just that. My thought is for every bus stop, we need a bench.
Mhm.
And I'm gonna keep working hard to do that. Their thought process is we put benches where the ridership, in a sense, justifies it. We have a higher level of ridership at that stop. For me, even if there's one person at that stop, we need a bench. So I'm fighting diligently for that. And I think we're gonna start to get more benches in. So,
Okay. Is there anything that we can voice, or just can we call MARTA? Is there
just like
anything
you're
we
doing
can
now, I think these are the forums we have to voice our opinions in. And so that I can begin to take them back and begin to fight for us. These are things that I strongly believe in as well. So we're gonna move forward with it and get those things done. As far as that Mount Zion corridor, we also did, I can't remember the month, that poor turnout, but we also did a cleanup effort with refuse out there towards Terra. Was it? Might have been April, March or April, somewhere around there. We've done that one. We've also done another one on Mount Zion. And had a good turnout over in Mount Zion High School area. So that one went well too. So we're gonna try to do these periodically to get folks out. And it's fun, it's good exercise to walk up and down the road, even though we got to pick up the trash, but it's a good effort. And we like what it looks like afterwards.
Mhm.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Talking about the Mount Zion area,
Mhm.
where Home Depot and Best Buy and all those stores are, over in that area, there's a lot of garbage, especially in the back, like where Chick-fil-A is. And because I walk around there sometimes, and when I'm walking, I can see where people are, like, from a car, where they're just throwing stuff in the bushes. So my question is, who's responsible for cleaning that? I mean, do those stores over there have any responsibility for keeping that area clean? It's a high traffic area.
And see, that particular area, some of it's Clayton County, some of it's actually in the city. The area you're referring to is in the city. What I can do is I'll reach out to the code enforcement there to see what we can do about getting cleaned up. After the meeting, if you give me your number. So when I find out some more information about getting it cleaned up, but the front part of it is, it falls on Clayton County,
Home
so.
Depot part and everything else. Yeah, the Home Depot portion of it is in the city of Clayton County. Once you get past it towards the Nampy month, it goes into city of Morrow now. And what was it today? It's Saturday. Thursday, I actually met with a couple of city council people from Morrow to discuss beginning to partner to get that whole area clean. So we're supposed to meet again this coming week, I think either Wednesday or Thursday, to begin to discuss it further. But we're talking about not only the beautification, we're talking about beautification and a maintenance to keep it clean. And to figure out how our code enforcement can begin to assist in monitoring that portion of it. Like I said, the Home Depot portion, Clayton County. Everything else up to almost the mall, 3/4 way of the mall, City of Morrow, then Clayton County.
So yeah, this would fall, I know what she's talking about.
Yeah,
That falls right, it's right in front of Home Depot.
correct. You're talking
Right
about
there
near
where
Chick-fil-A.
Panda Express is.
So that
right there.
part of
Yeah.
that part is Clayton County, I'm pretty sure. So we'll begin to look at it and see whether it's private property or we can do something with it.
Yeah. Just something that I wanted to add, some of the areas is maybe in the city, it may be on the county. The only way that we'll know is if you call us in, and that's why I say, feel free to call my office and, give me your areas of concerns. And I can go ahead and investigate it and then, report back to you, if it's for us, we'll go ahead and clean it up. It's very important that, the community calls and let me know what's going on. We do have a schedule where we clean the roads once a month, but that's throughout the whole county. But if you call, like if we clean, let's say we clean Mount Zion Road, and 2 weeks later, it's dirty again. That's where the community comes in helping us keeping it clean. You call my office or you put it on Click Clayton, and then I work it back into the schedule while also staying on my schedule. So it's real important for y'all to really communicate with me and help me to keep the community clean. Yes, sir.
There's one particular area also that needs some emphasis, and that is at the intersection of Noah's Ark and I think you're about to call
South
it,
Main or further down?
right before you get into Clayton County, right before you get into Henry County.
Okay.
Floyd Road.
I think it's down there towards Floyd Road.
Yeah, Floyd.
Mhm.
Floyd Road, it's just a shame, they have either folks with code enforcement that send out people, or either they have the prisoners come to clean up and so forth. And the next day is back out there.
We sent some folks out there about 2 weeks ago.
I mean, it happens all the time. I live in the first subdivision after you turn onto Noah's Ark and Sweet Ride, Lake Jolico. And it's just always trash on that corner. I had a question one time as to if you saw someone that actually throw some litter out, what can you do? The response that I received was the best thing is a video.
Yes.
You could get the tag number and so forth, but
Right, in order for code enforcement to cite them, they have to have some type of tangible proof. I.e. video or picture showing that person throwing the trash out. One thing about code enforcement, when we do find these dumpings, if we find someone's mail in the trash, we'll go out before we pick it up, we'll check it to see if there's anything where we can call code enforcement and say, hey, this person, this is their personal mail. And they will cite them in instances like that, but it has to be something that they can identify on something. If they go to court saying, hey, this is you throwing this trash out, or this is your personal mail. So it has to be something that when they go to court, that they can present as evidence.
you understand?
Yes, sir.
I have a question. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
I'm concerned about some houses that I see in my neighborhood where the grass is almost as tall as I am. And, you know, when I'm driving through or driving around, I'm not sure if anybody lives there or not. I haven't knocked on their door or anything, but just the fact that that grass is growing so high, it just gives me a feeling that probably nobody's living here.
And after the meeting, I'll get those addresses for you and I will forward those to code enforcement so that they can check into it and see. There is a process where refuse control will clean up these houses that are private property. They just have to go to through an abatement process where code enforcement gets involved. They give them an opportunity to clean up the area. If they don't clean it up within 30 days, then they'll send us the paperwork. We'll come out, clean up the area, and then the homeowner gets billed for us coming out there to clean. So I'll get those addresses from you. Anything else? All right, sir. I'll be right here.
All right, well, do we have anybody on from code enforcement today? Not sure.
Yes, Officer Kellum.
Let's move on. Troy, want to give us an update on Parks and Rec?
Commissioner Davis, can you hear us on Zoom? Can you hear us, Commissioner Davis?
Troy, you ready?
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
I don't think they can hear us, Troy. Let me call
Uh-oh.
Joe.
Can you hear us now?
You can hear us. Sure, you can hear us, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, we still can't hear you. Can hear.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me
Is
now?
anyone else online here, Troy? Give me a
Yes.
thumbs up if you can.
Hello? Can you hear me? Yep.
He's checking the speaker. They can't hear us.
All right, let's work on that. Let's keep moving on here. But first of all, let me say this. We've gotten a call about the bathrooms over at Lake Spivey, rec center area, as far as in the park. And I can tell you right now, those have been fixed. They are 100% functional as of yesterday. So I just want to let folks know that we got a call on that. Got the process done, Parks and Rec. When we can get Troy in there, we'll bring it back. Well, I guess what? Well, we can't hear it. So does anyone have any questions out there? We're about to that time. Somebody can come on and ask the question so we can see whether we can hear you all. Ms. Taylor, Mr. Jackson, Dr. Jackson, Ms. King.
Anybody here? Come on, Joseph.
Commissioner Davis, this is Janice Arteria. Can you hear
Can you
me?
look in the chat over there? I think there's some questions in the chat.
Everyone on
Maybe
Zoom,
you can
they can't
address
hear us
those
right
on
now.
the way
They
out.
can't, adjusting the speaker on that end. So just bear with them.
Oh, yes, we do. No
Hey,
sound.
Judy, how are you?
There?
What about now?
Okay.
What about now? What about now?
Yeah, we hear you now, Troy. It's an echo, but we got you.
Is there two laptops connected, Joseph?
Yeah, we're starting to hear folks now.
Can you hear me? What, you good? You want me to go ahead? All right.
You're good, Troy.
All right. So, good morning to everybody. Glad to see all the people online. The Parks and Recreation Department. We had a big day. Well, we were going to have a big day today. We were scheduled to have a lot of activities at our park, a lot of rentals. We were supposed to have our Noah H. Robinson fishing derby. However, that kind of got hampered by the rain. However, Commissioner Davis, we have a big event next weekend, July the 16th. We have our Wet and Wild weekend. That'll be at the Jonesboro Park during the day. And we'll also have a movie being played at Jonesboro Park that night. That's on next Saturday, July the 16th. The month of July is the national, July is Parks and Recreation Month. We have several activities going on in all of our recreation centers. We have a couple of free days for the public to enjoy the recreation centers free of charge. Our water park, the water park at International Park, of course, it's, as many of you have seen, it's very, very busy. As Commissioner Davis said, we have new restrooms. We have 3 modular. So they came as built on a big crane. We put them in last week, connected the plumbing, and they are good to go as of right now. So hope you enjoy those new restrooms. And also just keep in mind, in our parks, with the rain comes the grass grows very, very fast. We're doing our best to get all of our parks cut and kept cut during this summer months with all of the rain. But July 16th is going to be a big day. We hope everybody comes out to Jonesboro Park, especially if you have kids, grandkids, bring them out. We'll have water bounce houses, they'll have water balloon fights. We will have many food trucks that'll be available. We'll have performers out there performing, and then we'll cap the night off with a movie in the park. And that movie in the park is Paw Patrol. So hope everybody can join us for that. Did anybody hear that? Hello?
Yes, we hear you. We hear you, Troy.
Oh, okay.
And Commissioner Davis, you're muted if you can hear me.
There we go.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, is there any questions for Parks and Rec, Troy? No questions? I'm hoping folks can hear me. Give me a
Good
thumbs up.
morning.
Yes.
Good morning.
Go ahead.
When you say Jonesboro Park, is that Lee Street Park? Where's,
It's Rum Creek Park, which is off of Government Circle,
okay,
where all of the baseball fields and softball fields are. Does that make sense to you guys? Government Circle?
yeah. Do you have any flyers posted or any type of advertisement?
Yes, they're on ClaytonParks.com. You'll go to ClaytonParks.com and events. They're at all of our recreation centers. But yeah, if you want to go to ClaytonParks.com, click on events, you'll get more information there.
Thank you kindly.
Email address, we will go ahead and send, it will be in the minutes that you all will receive after the.
And it was in last month.
Yeah, and last month as well. So we'll make sure you get it. So if not, put your email address in the chat box so we can begin to receive it.
Commissioner Davis, could I give a little bit of kudos to Mr. Hodges? I was having issues with the registration for Parks and Rec sports. And whoever manages the Parks and Rec Facebook page is super responsive. He was so helpful. And Kobe, I think his name, was the one that I was interacting with via email. He was able to help me get back into my account, get my kids registered for some sports coming up in the fall. I just wanted to give you kudos because they were really helpful and kind along the process.
Great. Yes, well, we understand that, we're not perfect and our website is not perfect and the registration process, is a little cumbersome. However, the more and more we interact with you guys and see the problems, then we can get it corrected. But glad we could help.
Sure.
Is there a link between Parks and Recs and the schools? Like, I know we're not in school right now, but when school is in session and these students get out of school in the afternoon, is there a connection so that some of these kids can enjoy these services that they are providing at some of these centers? That's part one.
Okay.
And part two is which of these centers are open for after school activities for students?
Troy, did you get that question?
Yeah, basically what I heard was, which of our centers have after school programs and, are the kids utilizing the facilities after, when they get out of school. So yeah, the answer to that is yes, we have after school programs in most all of our facilities. We go and pick up, say if you had a child and you needed after school care, we pick those kids up in our vans and bring them back, and they go through. We don't just let them go in there and play basketball and shoot pool and play ping pong. They have to do their schoolwork. We have tutors that come in and help them with the schoolwork. So it's not just about fun and games in our after school programs. It's books and studying and helping the parents out. So, and the other portion of that question was, are the students utilizing the recreation centers, when they get out of school? Yes, ma'am. They do. Those that have transportation, to come in and do free play, that, they do visit the facilities.
Do all the centers offer that service?
All of the centers do all of the centers have the after school program? Not all of them. Most of the, everybody but the Lake Spivey facility, because the Lake Spivey facility, it's only one without a gym. So all of the others do. However, Lake Spivey does not. And the cost is very, maybe $25 a week. I don't have the exact cost, but I'm pretty sure it's around $25 to $30 a week.
Does that include transportation?
Yes, ma'am.
From the school to the center?
You said from the school to the center?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
And who do I follow up about this?
I'm not sure which area of the county you live in, probably this district, but your closest recreation center is going to be the Jim Huey facility.
Down there. Courthouse is.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That over there? Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you, Troy. Any other questions for Parks and Rec? All right, thanks, Troy, I appreciate that. Let me give one more update too, as far as our ordinance and zoning and planning. We have approved the senior housing development at 625 138. That's through, that land was owned by the First Christian Church of Jonesboro. And we've just gone ahead and approved that. We've also approved the senior assisted living. That's at right at the intersection of Highway 138 and Wright Circle. So I think these are some of the things that are going to help improve our county, our citizens, and our quality of life as well. And we've also approved a contract with Hope Shelter for homeless and support services. There'll be smaller services, but I think we've got to begin to get a handle on our homeless situation in Clayton County, because with inflation booming, with wages not rising as fast, I think our homeless population is going to get a little bit out of control. And we want to begin to be ahead of it rather than behind with that. So now, time for questions. I know you all have questions. So any questions? Let's go.
The
Commissioner
officer
Davis,
that was
this is
given
Janice
the phone
Arcuri.
number. The officer that was speaking, can I have her phone number? She was giving out her phone number, but I didn't get it.
Yeah, and we'll put that in the chat as well. We'll come give that one more time for her.
And that's Captain Gooden, Gooden. The number is 770-477-3548. That's 770-477-3548.
Okay, and you were when you were speaking, you said call your office for what areas or all or any areas that we have concern about.
Clayton County, we're responsible for all of Clayton County.
Okay, because I often call code enforcement and Department of Transportation and the police department for when we have vehicles on my street that are inoperable. And they constantly do that, and the grass being too tall, because I heard somebody talking about the grass being too tall. I definitely do that in my neighborhood, because I'm in a neighborhood that didn't have homeowners association. So I sure enough be calling, I can tell you that much.
Now, in the areas that we cover in Clayton County, it's the unincorporated Clayton County. We don't go into like the city areas. Also, we don't come into like inside of subdivisions and neighborhoods. It has like out in the unincorporated section of Clayton County.
Yeah, that's what I'm in. I'm off Valley here. So that's where I live, and I'm unincorporated Clayton County. So that's why I call those areas. As a matter of fact, I got some calls in there, still waiting to get there. Some limb, you know how your limbs be on a tree, limbs be hanging over in the street, and it be hanging down so far it may hit the top of your SUV or whatever. I'm trying to get those cut now. I've called 3 times, so I'm hoping that somebody will come out next week, hopefully.
Some of those areas, some of those trees, depending on how low they are, we can come and clean it up. If it's up on the trees, that's actually going to fall under transportation and development. But if you call my office, give me the exact location, we'll come out, take a look, and if it's something that we can at least cut back until transportation and development is able to come and fully take care of the trees, then we'll come out and we'll take care of that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And also too, did you say those trees are over the power lines?
I don't think the one right up the street from us is over the power line. And there's one that as you enter off of Battle Creek onto Rivercrest, it's got like, you know, it's 2 lanes, of course, and then you got a little only lane where you go come off of Valley Hill onto Rivercrest. That one is really hanging over. So I can't, and I'm sure all vehicles, you have to go stay in the street part and then turn on to Rivercrest. And that's not good either, especially when you got that little only lane, because somebody could have hit you. So
Okay, we'll take a look at that.
Thank you.
I asked because I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't a Georgia Power issue. And Georgia Power comes out and begins to remove limbs from their lines periodically as well, or as we call it.
Right, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions? I thought I heard someone else chiming in earlier.
Commissioner Davis, this is Janice Arcuri. Can you hear me?
We can. Yes, ma'am.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, we can.
I have two questions. One is what is the progress on finding a location for a new Jonesboro branch library? And the other is, since asbestos was found in the old building, has there been any effort to let past library employees who worked in that building to know about the asbestos in case they have any health issues that might be connected with working around asbestos?
First question, as far as where are we going to relocate the Jonesboro Library to, that's still in discussion phase, and hopefully we'll know something here in the near future. As far as the asbestos and the health of the employees, that's something that I cannot answer this time, but I will, we're writing that question down and we'll take a look at that, look into that for you.
Thank you.
So just give me about a week or so on that one, and hopefully we'll have an answer for you.
Commissioner Davis, this is Judy Taylor. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Ms. Taylor.
Okay, well, we're in and out, so if you lose me, you lose me. Anyway, I'm really concerned about what's happening in our single-family residential neighborhoods. We have so many absentee landlords or people that do not look after their rental property. And also we're allowing so much commercial development in there. We're allowing boarding houses, split pads, daycare, all kinds of businesses to come into our single family residential neighborhoods. I was concerned, are we having anyone, either community development or somebody that's actually looking into checking on these places to make sure they abide by all the rules, regulations, everything under the business licenses, such as noise, parking, traffic, all the things that can come with all the additional businesses and activity and everything in here. I noticed that the city of Atlanta is really cracking down on their places now that the grass gets overgrown. You can't find these owners. They're just a lot of trouble. Are we really going to actively work on helping our single family residential neighborhoods, especially the ones that don't have homeowners associations, the older neighborhoods? They tend to want to come in here and they have the Airbnbs and things. Thank goodness the Airbnbs are going to police theirs and not allow parties and everything else to come in there too. So I'm just wondering, are we taking care of that and watching our neighborhoods so that we'll keep our neighborhoods, you know, at least in pretty good shape and everything too?
We are actively pursuing the ones that we know of from a code enforcement standpoint as far as business licenses. Now, those that are operating without a business license, we need folk like you all to call us and let us know what's taking place and what's going on. If you don't open your eyes and give us a call, we don't know everything that's going on in every single neighborhood. But we are actively pursuing this. We have been doing this for the last couple of years, even with the Airbnb situation that is taking place. We were really watching what was taking place with the state and in the House and the Senate there as far as their Airbnb lobbies were going. And we are trying to, and we have put something in place as far as short-term rentals go. So we are actively and aggressively going after that. As far as these landlords that don't live in the county, that's just the best way to put it here. We are, and right now, I would like to figure out a way to how can we implement some type of ordinance to begin to keep these folks. I think what we have to do though, and just listening to Captain Good, is that we've got to begin to use this abatement process a lot more sternly in how we go after these landlords that aren't here and keeping these properties clean and things of that nature. As far as the rental control of it, that's a whole nother issue and a whole nother story that we're going to have to begin to get behind and look at it as well. Yes, ma'am.
Commission, I'm sorry, Commissioner, this is Officer Kellum with Code Enforcement, Sector 4. I just wanted to give you a few stats that we have. Currently, we have 291 open cases. We have around 15 complaints that we will address early next week. We conducted a blitz in the Old South neighborhood. It was a partial blitz, and we will go back, I believe, this week to complete that.
Great, thank you. Ms. Taylor?
Yes.
Yes. Is that beginning to answer your question there?
It did, but I understand that if we have given a business license out and everything else, until it's time to renew again, and most of the time it's a year or something, nobody checks on these places to see if, unless if somebody complains about noise or parties or things going on, they don't, no checking is going on to make sure they're in compliance with, you know, a lot of them are like that. You can only have maybe 3 or 4 people staying in a boarding house or things like that. Nobody's checking to see if they're actually in compliance or anything like that until it's time for their business license to be renewed again. So they sit there for a year and they could just be having 10, 15, 20 people living in there and nobody would know it unless somebody complained about it or something. So there's no checking on it between times for license renewals.
And this is true. We have to have a reason to check on certain things. Unlike the health department that can just go into a restaurant and begin to look and find out if it's clean or not. We don't have the capacity of employment to do that in all of those places with all the businesses that we have in Clayton County. And that's unfortunate at times when you have those that are acting out of code, not of standards. But for the majority of our businesses, they are operating up under the guidelines and protocols of what we set forth.
Another question I had was, what do we have an update on any improvements that we're planning to make up on Terra Boulevard, say north of 138 to up to 75? I know there was supposed to be a study done, and I think there was money allotted for that. And what is the timeline for making the improvements up along Terra Boulevard up there where we have all of the junkie car lots and all of the places that work on tire places and all the things that are so that, you know, just makes our area look so bad as people come through here and everything else too. What's the timeline for that? Do we know?
There is no timeline. We're working as expeditiously as possible on that area. To me, that is the #1 area in Clayton County. That is the gateway to this entire county. And I'm working diligently on that as far as putting together a plan, trying to figure out what kind of businesses we can put in, what wants to come here. Just because we want businesses does not mean that they want to come here to Clayton County. So we've got to begin to understand that. And we've got to begin to create an infrastructure that's going to attract these businesses as far as it goes into keeping it clean, having sidewalks and streetlights out there. Those are some of the things that I look at. For me, we've got to establish a strong infrastructure that is going to lend to strong economic growth.
Thank you very much. Thank you. I appreciate that. And the police department, I noticed on their list, they're going to have a national night out and they're going to have a blood drive and they just got all good things going. Would they not like to promote some of that just in case everybody's not aware of what all they have going now?
It's gonna have to be the community affairs. Should be also McCall when she's on there. If she's on there, I'll be also McCall.
There you go, Officer McCall. Come on.
Hi, I'm Officer McCall, and we do have one event that's coming up. We have our National Night Out. That's on August the 2nd, and that's from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. And that'll be at the Lovejoy Soccer Complex parking lot. So we're gonna have food trucks, information booth, and kid entertainment on that day. So that's all that we have so far that we're promoting. Any more questions for me?
You have one?
I do. I have a general statement, then I have a question.
Okay.
There's a lot of, well, first, I've been living in this county for a long time. And the thing that brought me out, because I know this is my first time coming to any meeting like this, but I was online looking, and I have to give a shout out to Miss Harrell, Denise.
Hurrah.
Hurrah, yeah. She put me on the track that I need to be on. And I went and I looked at some past meetings that you had all the way back to November. And so one thing that I do want to say is there's a lot of good stuff going on in Clayton County, as I've heard you say multiple times, but people just don't know. All right, I think, I've heard several times where it has been said it's on our website. It's on our website. Yeah, it's on your website, but what kind of people, who's going there? You know, the thing that opened up my eyes that you need to know what's going on in the place that you live is when I rolled down Richardson Parkway and I saw all those trees going. And I was like, what is going on. And I live here. I don't often travel that way, but that was a wake-up call for me. People don't know what you're doing. People don't know what's going on in this county. And in one of your past meetings, I heard someone say that instead of wanting people to push in, something needs to be done to kind of push out to the community so that they know what you're doing, what you want them to do. And I don't know what's going on in that venue, but some people need to know.
And I thank you for that. And Denise Rod does a fabulous job.
She does.
I thank her, not enough, but I thank you. Thank you, Denise.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you.
But, that's why we've kind of changed, we keep these meetings to an hour. And we've changed them up, based on what constituents have asked for. So I can tell you this. Because of certain things you're saying are needed, we are going to start to do a newsletter. Anybody that wants to volunteer in the system. So you know how happy I am to do this, but we're going to start that because it's what you all want and it's what you all are asking for. So we're going to work on that to begin to get what's going on in Clayton County. But that's also why we put in the whole thing about the ordinance and zoning updates. And that was one of, I can't remember who gave us that idea, but we've gotten great ideas from the community. And we say, hey, let's implement it. We don't need to be in there 2 or 3 hours. We can get everything done in an hour. We're going through our crime updates, we're going through parks and recs. We want announcements of what's going on. I want to begin to share a lot of the good with Clayton County, but also while we work on the quality of increasing quality of life as well. So that's what we have. So since we're doing that, I might as well say too, since with the, we're partnering with Sabrina Hill from the Board of Education, and we're doing a back to school event. It's all right for me to say that. Back to school event on Thursday, July the 21st from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. So we're going to be doing that as well. And that's going to be at Terra Elementary. Terra Elementary up on Mount Zion. Is that Boulevard? Right. Mount Zion Road. So we're going to be doing a book for book bags, and we're putting some things in the book bags for the young folks. We're going to do that. So we're working to begin to help promote that for us as well. So that's something we'll be putting in a newsletter, not this school year, next school year. Next school year. So we have that. What else do we have? Oh, questions. We're still on questions. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have another
You
question.
have another question? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's about, it goes along with what Ms. Taylor was talking about, and I heard this, they were talking about this in that meeting when everybody is here.
Okay. Board meeting?
The board meeting, yes. They were talking about landlord registry. And, so that you will know who is actually the landlord and who lives here, opposed to who is just an organization or corporation who are buying up all these houses and making our property taxes high. And so I feel like, is that something that is happening?
It's not in the works as of now. It was an idea that was brought up. I think it's a good idea. I think that's something we need to look into with the tax commissioner to find out how those roles are set up and how we can begin to query those roles to find out who begins to own. Is it corporate? Is it a primary residence for a person? Or is it a rental property? So I think we've got to query that database to find out what's taking place with that. But I do like the idea as well.
Okay, another question. Related to this board meeting.
Mhm.
When they had that board meeting, like, people got up and they talked, like, they allowed people to talk, public comments, but there was no feedback. Like, people just got up, said what they wanted to say, and sat down. And I was wondering, like, how do we know what the result?
Usually, if someone comes from District 4 has a comment, many times I won't address it here, but what we'll do is we'll take the information and get back to that person on that. Instead of prolonging, but we do want public comment so that we know what is taking place, what's going on, and what's the concern of the citizens. But as far as having a dialogue, conversation with it, rarely does that take place because that would just prolong so long, and we only have so much time for public comment.
So if I'm coming to those meetings and I do have a question, I guess I should just wait and talk to you about it.
You can talk to me, but usually what we'll do, not usually, When you come in, there's a sign-in sheet at the back of the room. You would put your name in there as far as wanting to give a public comment. Right now, the board just reduced public comment, what is it, to 2 minutes a person for 20 minutes. So if you're on that list and we don't get you in that time frame, you go to the next meeting, first of the next meeting. So we just reduced it. It was 30 minutes, 3 minutes per person. And the board voted by majority decision to change that. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
How are you?
Good.
I want to go back to property tax issue and also the investors coming in and buying up properties. I was just wondering, from actually the June 7th meeting, there was statistics presented to the board. And from my understanding, there was like 50% properties in Clayton County and investors purchased.
I think 50, a little over 50% are rental properties.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean investors have purchased.
Okay. So with that being said, I'm wondering, is there any type of logistics, or research, or what's protocol that you may not be able to answer the question, like the question of the tax commission? What numbers and logistics are they using to calculate homeowner taxes?
Homeowner property taxes are calculated by the taxes, well, calculated by the state. And that's through tax assessment. So when your property, and that's based off of the valuation. So you get the valuation where it has, when it rises, the county or the board of commissioners then sets your millage rate. And you multiply that, go ahead.
Not interrupting, but I'll leave you. Could you break that down just a little bit for me? Homeowner taxes.
Okay, so you got your valuation. Your property tax is based off of one simple calculation. The value of your home times the millage rate we have in place. The board of commissioners controls the millage rate up or down. We just reduced the millage rate. The state controls the valuation of your home up or down, and they come out every year to assess your property. When the property rises, we say it like this: if your millage rate, I'm just going to call it 10, and your property value is 20, we know that's 200. Well, if the property goes up to 30 next year, and we still keep it at 10, it's 300. But what we do is we might drop it down, and that way it drops somewhere below that 200, 300 for the previous year.
Okay, so my county assessor, they're not basing my property value on the sales in my area?
Yes, they do.
It's a calculation by the state.
It's by the state, but it's still based off of our area.
Okay.
So it's not, we're not basing Clayton County off of something in Alpharetta.
Okay, so if you have investors in my area overpaying for homes, is that affecting my property?
I'm not a real estate person, but I would think it does. It's what we can fight for.
Okay, for an example, I had 2 homes that actually family bought.
Mhm.
To my right, when they actually family owned. The particular sales of the home varied from 190 to 2.
Okay.
The square footage of those one might be, I think one was actually maybe 15 to 80 square feet, smaller than that. The other one was right at maybe 1,000 square feet, larger. But my assessment came in higher than both of those.
Yeah. That I can't tell you
The
why.
sale, like I said, from 190 to 205.
Yeah.
You can appeal that.
Yeah,
And here I am being assessed at a higher.
I understand. And
I know.
yeah, now, and like you said, we can appeal those, but I think that appeal deadline is already coming on. I think it was around June 16th or something to appeal. You would appeal to your tax assessor. Oh, you did appeal. So yeah, so you'll go through the process. But I can't sit and have a conversation with you about how it is actually calculated or why yours went up. That is beyond my realm.
Okay, and I appreciate it at the same time, and this is my next. I'm concerned about that because it's affecting every citizen. It's not just me.
Oh, I understand, I
It's
understand.
every citizen in Clayton County. And when you present facts or you present a presentation where you are aware of how much property is being purchased by investment companies, then I don't really think that that's fair to the average citizen of Clayton County.
I understand.
Because we're paying for a lot. Actually, most things, if not everything that the county do is paid for by taxpayer money.
It is.
So why, if you don't have the money in your budget to spend, and you come back on the back end and increase my property taxes because of some of your costs, that's how
I understand. Now, but I do want to say that we have not increased anybody's property tax. You can always come, we dropped the millage rate for that. It's just our valuation of the home. But we do have to begin to look at it, and maybe I'll begin to set something up with a tax assessor. And the tax commissioner both can come in and begin to speak on this subject. They are the experts in this area. So we'll write that down and take that into consideration.
And when they come, they need to come with some solutions.
Well,
About what are we gonna do? Don't just come telling me this is the problem. Like when that lady came in here, Ms. Dees, that presentation was wonderful. And she had solutions on there and things that can be put in place. And one of the things that she talked about was limiting these people who are coming into the county making all these problems.
Understand. Duly noted that I am definitely looking at that hard and fast. And have been. Any other questions? We're getting to that 12, we'll be past 12 on that. Any other questions online?
Commissioner Davis, this is Judy Taylor again. I noticed Miss Janice had a great suggestion about sending out more information, like getting a list of like homeowners associations. And I know there is a list, and there's also through the police department, they have a list of the neighborhood watch organizations in the county. Combine that list and get an email list so that you can send out any information that we need to know to us, because most of us have a way to get in touch with our neighbors through through emails and newsletters and things like that. So if we could get information sent out to all of us, I'm sure Miss Denise is not going to love me for saying that suggestion, because it may be more work and everything else too. But if we could do
Associations, heads, the neighborhood watch, we work with the police department and share those lists. So that already goes out.
Yeah. Somebody?
Commissioner Davis, this is Brianna Kimbrough in the Fairfield Approach neighborhood. So we have, over the last week and a half, have had a rash of car break-ins. I know you guys talked about this at the top of the meeting with the police commission, the police officer. But we're also having a really bad teenager or young adult loitering problem outside of our clubhouses after dark. Last night, they were shooting off what sounded like bombs in Afghanistan, but I guess they were just fireworks. And we had a neighbor across the street call the police to ask somebody to come out, and no police officer showed up. And thankfully the storm rolled in and they scattered off, but it's becoming a reoccurring problem with the break-ins and the uptick in loitering, damaging property at the clubhouse and at the pool and our tennis courts. I would really appreciate some increased patrols and presence in the neighborhood.
Okay. This is the first that I'm hearing of the problem as far as the teenagers and that. I will make sure that, is it mostly happening in the evening time?
Yeah, it's after dark. We have a security officer that's there during until 9 p.m. when our pool closes. But as soon as that officer is gone, the teenagers come out and start the riffraff.
Okay, so you're saying it's basically after 9 p.m. I'll make sure that when morning watch folks will do some operations and things that make our presence much more apparent in your neighborhood, and we'll see if we can get this curtailed for you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, we've got time for a couple more questions. Do we have any more? Anyone else? Yes.
I just had a question about, just a little bit about housing. I know we got a lot of activity as far as apartments and things like that. Specifically, I was just curious about Mount Zion Road going towards Stockbridge, that whole area down there where the, where Yeah, where Lowe's is at, in that area going out there. And they're building like all kind of stuff over there. Is that all, do you know if that's all apartment buildings or if that's anything else in businesses or anything, or is that just straight all apartment?
The ones next to Lowe's are apartments, and they're actually in conjunction with the Board of Education, where they have built apartments, homes over there, to where they've got tutoring centers and aftercare facilities in there. Or I believe you call them aftercare facilities as well. You know anything about those? Then they have a senior citizen part. They've got a senior living part over, I think it's towards the back end of it as well.
But it's all that, everything that's being built over that area is gonna be apartments.
Apartment homes, some single families.
Some single
So
families.
as far as senior living goes.
Senior living.
Correct. The apartment homes that we have on, what is yours?
Mount Zion
Mount
Circle.
Zion Circle, those are actually scheduled to open up here in the next few weeks.
Okay.
So we're just laying the sidewalks over there for that.
Where's that development? Right, and,
Right there by the church, you mean, across from Home Depot?
No, he's talking about where the dealerships are, Allen Digital.
Oh, okay, that's outside District 4. That's, I believe, there's one of them that's is supposedly some kind of warehouse over there. Yes,
Is one warehouse?
I believe, I have to check and see, but right now I'm gonna say it's a warehouse.
So is there any type of plan in place to try to curb some of the cost of rent?
That's very difficult to do, but it is a discussion point that we've got to get a look at. Anybody else? Any other questions?
About sidewalks?
Okay, let's get online. Who we have? Okay, you saying about sidewalks?
I have a question about sidewalks up Fielder Road. You know, sometimes kids be walking up that way to go to school, and, you know, there are no sidewalks there for them.
We've got two things that we're working on now. One is the bridge over there on Fielder Road that goes over 75. We've been speaking with DOT, trying to get that fencing, get a fence up there. There is no bridge there. To me, that is extremely dangerous. And the second part is we're talking to try to move a sidewalk on Fielder Road up, especially over there on the curves. Part of it's out of my district, but my whole thing is Fielder Road does need some type of sidewalk on at least one side of the street right now. Yes, Ms. Goods.
Just two quick issues. We need better enforcement of the no trucks going down, you know.
Residential areas.
I live off of Noah's Ark, and there's a sign in front, and it on both ends.
Yeah.
Of Noah's Ark. Now, a
This,
lot of the truckers gonna say, well, my GPS told me to come this way. No, it didn't, because that's not their first rodeo. They've been that way a number of times, and they're using it as a cut through, shortcuts and so
we
forth.
have put many officers and done many, what do you call them, roadblocks, road checks for that. We know the only time those trucks can be in those areas is if they have a point of residence to go to. Any time of it, we found that they were using them as, like you said, pass-throughs to get to 75 to Henry County or coming through Clayton County. We probably possibly need to put another road check up there to begin to look into that. I think that's something that I honestly is never going to stop, but we can slow it down. It'll speed up and come back and try to slow it down.
Well, sometime in the past, I've seen law enforcement there, and I actually was there.
Yeah, they
one
cycle.
time, and they actually stopped the tractor trailer.
I think they had one like that last summer, and you wrote quite a few tickets for that, so we might have to just visit that again.
The other thing, the same Noah's Ark. I don't know if we got it in splosh or whatever, but we need to get it paved, because patching it is not working.
Well, I've looked at 3 of those roads. Noah's Ark is one of them. Noah's Ark, Jericho, as well as, which one do I think, what's the one? Freeman Road. All 3 of those need to be taken care of because they're all in the same condition. And we've got to begin to do something with sidewalks and lighting, especially, I think Noah's Ark is probably the most dangerous, especially going down towards Floyd Road. So we'll make sure that happens. All right, we're gonna wrap it up. We got any more questions from anyone? We're about to wrap up.
I think we're good.
All right, we got done. Next meeting will be August 13th, and that's going to be in person in Zoom. I thank you all for coming out in this bad weather. I thank you all for joining from the safety of your dry homes in this bad weather today. But I look forward to hearing from you all. Any questions you all have or concerns, please contact me or Denise so that we can begin to get on it. That's what we're here for, and that's what we try to do to the best of our ability to get our quality of life and get some of these issues taken care of. So thank you all. And again, we're having the back to school event with Sabrina Hill from the Board of Education, Thursday, July 21st, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. at Terry Elementary. So hopefully you all will come out and enjoy. Thank you and have a great day. Great weekend.
Thank you.
That's why I'm better. I mean, I don't
Get ready to change clothes and go pick up some lunch for them and take it up to the.
That's where you're going. Yeah.